Welcome to the 707, a weekly half-hour program produced by KRCB, a service of NorCal Public Media. The 707 features voices and stories from your community, stories that examine the hard work at the heart of wine country, and the stories that show how we are connected to each other. I'm your host, Michelle Marques, and today's conversation is with Karissa Kruse, President and CEO of Sonoma County Wine Growers. At a time when the wine industry is facing uncertainty due to changing attitudes and behaviors, our local wine growers shared some big news. On Monday, October 6th, the California Department of Food and Agriculture announced it had certified the votes on the referendum to continue the Sonoma County Wine Grape Commission, also known as the Sonoma County Wine Growers, for another 5 years. So what is the Sonoma County Wine Grape Commission?
It's essentially the trade association that works on behalf of the 1,800 grape growers that farm wine grapes here in Sonoma County and actually Marin County as well. It was first established in 2006. It had been a trade association for 20 plus years before that, meaning members, sort of annual membership every year, growers could opt into joining. At the time, it was called the Sonoma County Grape Growers Association. And then in 2006, with oversight by California Department of Food and Agriculture, grape growers here in Sonoma and Marin counties, otherwise known as Crush District 3, our formal legal title, actually voted on a ballot, that sort of a referendum ballot that California Department of Food and Agriculture put out and sent to the growers to establish the Wine Grape Commission. And what that does is it's essentially establishes the organization's funding for 5-year intervals. And at that point, growers then pay an assessment on their grapes that are grown and sold if it's over 25 tons. So every 5 years, we go through a reauthorization, as it's called, where grape growers have the opportunity to once again vote to continue assessing their grapes.
And so we just had the vote. How did it go?
Drum roll, just had the vote. So yes, to continue reauthorization, you need a 51%, a majority, and we were just right at 86%, so 85.77% to be exact, which is fantastic. So I mean, I guess especially given sort of the chaotic marketplace right now, it's really nice to know that our growers here in Sonoma and Marin counties are still really committed to investing in the marketing and education programs that our organization does to promote the wine region.
All right. So what kinds of things do the wine growers get from SCW?
Yeah, so a bunch of stuff. So I think the main mission of Sonoma County Wine Growers is really to market the wine region on behalf of the growers, sort of recognizing that although production of wine can happen really anywhere in the world, it's really important to have a marketplace for Sonoma County branded wines and wineries that are purchasing Sonoma County grapes. So it's kind of the trickle down impact. The more we reach consumers and sommeliers and trade and wine buyers and media with programming and wines, the more support we get, come to Sonoma County or be loyal to our wines out in the marketplace, ensuring in an ideal world that there's always a home for the grapes that our local growers tend to and steward all year long.
Are there any particular initiatives that Sonoma County Wine Growers have undertaken since 2006 that really stand out?
Where do we start? No, it feels like there's been so much. So, I mean, I think I've been in this role now since 2012. And speaking from sort of looking at the last decade plus, in addition to some of the actual agriculture commitments, our commitment to being certified sustainable, we have a Farm of the Future initiative, which is bringing partners like John Deere, Ford Pro, Wilbur Ellis to Sonoma County to help us think about operational efficiency and how we farm the equipment we use in the future. We do throughout the growing season integrated pest management meetings. So those are kind of keeping our growers literally connected, boots on the ground to what's happening in their neighbor's vineyard, their vineyard. So we have those. And then we've really focused on partnerships and collaboration. So we've done that through a decade plus collaboration with Guild Somm. So we're able to bring wine buyers and sommeliers every year to Sonoma County to meet our farmers, meet our vintners. We've had a long-term partnership with Food and Wine Magazine also. So them bringing support here. We just had Ray Isle in town, their executive wine editor, hosting a Somm camp with us. And then we also go participate in the Aspen, food and wine event, Charleston food and wine event with them. A new sports partnership. So we really embarked 3 years ago, launching with the San Francisco Giants and working with their master sommelier, Evan Goldstein. How cool to have a sports team with a master somm. looking at how we do more to bring wine into places where it's really reaching people, where they're being social, where they're having entertainment, with their friends, family. And we just launched the first ever wine club at Major League Baseball, the San Francisco Giants Wine Club, brought to you by Sonoma County Wine Growers. So all sorts of those programming that really looks at both how do we motivate and inspire people to come to the region and spend time with us, or also how do we take our wine growers and our vintners out into Chicago, Houston, partnerships with Let Us Entertain You, Landry's Restaurants, and really help them connect with consumers and buyers all around the country.
So, how are you measuring the success of these kinds of initiatives?
Yeah, it's a number of different ways. I know people always say marketing is the hardest thing to develop the ROI on. A lot of our partnerships now are really focused on moving beyond an opportunity for sampling, but really working where someone's going to actually purchase the wine. So, like San Francisco Giants Wine Club, that's actually them using their marketing and their fan base to promote Sonoma County wine purchases, which is really exciting. We have private label wine from Sonoma County coming to Aquashore Arena down Coachella Valley as part of our Coachella Valley Firebirds partnership. So we really try to say, can we find those people that are either from a purchasing standpoint, partners that are buying wine and then serving it through their venues and their outlets? Or are we bringing consumers here that are signing up for wine clubs or buying wine or supporting sort of the purchase of wine wherever they live? So it's like 1,000 different ways. We're trying everything. I always say we'll pilot anything and really see if it's an opportunity to scale, or we learn, say, nope, that didn't work. Let's not do that again. So we're always trying to, get better, be more efficient, and leverage every dollar to promote the region.
Okay. Can I ask you about the wine district? Is that something that is part of Sonoma County Wine Growers?
So it was an initiative we started with Sonoma County Vintners over to explore it a couple of months ago, back in actually March, April timing. A wine improvement district is actually a way for there to be an assessment on consumer sales through the tasting room. So you go, you do a wine tasting, and there's 4 other wine regions currently that have a wine improvement district, a couple others that are in the process of doing it. So you put a small percentage assessment on sort of that experience. In most cases, it's 1% to 2%, depending on the wine region. And that money gets pooled again to do strictly for the benefit to promote the region. So for us, the way we look at it is, Sonoma County Tourism, they're really focused on bringing folks to Sonoma County, driven really to get people into our hotels here. So they're supported by the hotel tax, by the business improvement assessment that hotels pay. And then as wine growers, we're really focused on, moving bottles of wine that say Sonoma County on it. And we are excited if you're buying that in Chicago, or if you're visiting our wineries and buying it direct. But there's kind of this missing middle of really motivating and marketing to consumers to come here and then go to our wineries once you're here. I call it sort of like the last mile of the wine business. So we're looking at, can we pool and get this assessment dollars to be very focused on working with, an agency. I would be excited about going into markets where we're now flying in and out of Sonoma County, where it's really easy for folks to get here and be in our backyard, and to really specifically market, come to our wineries, go visit our wineries, join their list, become part of their wine club. So yes, that's part of what we do with the Sonoma County Wine Growers as well, but is not the sole mission of those dollars. We have a lot of other priorities that we also have to balance. So right now it's on hold. We're in the middle of harvest. So we're kind of giving everyone a reprieve. We just did a survey and got more input from wineries, kind of like, what are their pain points? What are they looking for? We're combing through all that data right now and hope to be able to probably mid-November share all those results once everyone's kind of had the pause, the deep breath once they get through harvest, and then kind of regroup and say, like, is there an appetite to continue these conversations on a wine improvement district or not? And so at the end of the day, wineries get to vote if they want to have a wine improvement district. So we'll, I guess, see what happens.
But would a wine improvement district displace some of the things that Sonoma County Wine Growers or Sonoma County Vintners already are doing?
So I look at it as more of like working. So the benefit to the wineries is that if there was a wine improvement district, the goal would be able to remove the membership dues that wineries would pay into Sonoma County Vintners. And then through Sonoma County Wine Growers, we have a winery collaborative program that wineries can be members of and kind of get first prioritization access to all of our activations. So a way for the wineries to kind of support the grower dollars that are being invested. So the way we look at it is that we would remove those membership fees, and then most of those programming would stay, but then we'd have additional money to really be laser focused on getting people into the region and into the tasting rooms. So it'd be a very, very, I would say, directed effort with very specific goals around that and really clear ROI, because if your assessment dollars that you bring in every year grow, it means that more people are coming to Sonoma County, spending time in the tasting rooms or experiencing with the, the vintners and the wine and buying more wine. So it's like the ultimate ROI through the wine improvement district.
Okay, excellent. Great. Thank you. Challenges. You said that it's a little bit of a challenging market right now. So how is Sonoma County Wine Growers trying to address that?
It's not just challenging in Sonoma County. I think we actually had the benefit of maybe having it come to us or really impact us last. I think in the North Coast, I would say probably Napa, Sonoma, we've been seeing a little bit of a challenging market for selling grapes across the state of California now for a couple of years. I know our growers really felt that pain point this year. We've just seen the marketplace has shifted. Some of the younger consumers are not not drinking as much alcohol or sort of expanding their categories of alcohol that they are consuming. We know travel is down in general, so we're not getting some of that visitation that would normally happen into San Francisco, even convention visitation. Then they come to Sonoma County for a weekend on the front end, back end. So there's just a lot of dynamics that are happening in the marketplace.
In the next segment of the 707, Karissa Kruse addresses the challenges facing local wine growers. This is KRCB.
I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News with a little something to kickstart your mornings. Sonoma First News is a weekday morning podcast with the top local stories and weather updates from across Sonoma County. From Petaluma to Bodega Bay, Sonoma First News has you covered. Subscribe now through KRCB's website, on the NorCal mobile app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Sonoma First News from Sonoma County's NPR station, KRCB FM.
Welcome back to the 707 on KRCB. I'm your host, Michelle Marques. I'm talking with Karissa Kruse, President and CEO of Sonoma County Wine Growers. While she agrees that the significant support of local wine growers to continue investing in and promoting Sonoma County wines is heartening, there are serious challenges to the wine market, which requires the organization to stay very focused in their efforts.
Everything we've been doing, one is really like making sure we are spending every dollar to sort of the best of our ability. And we are really looking at, we just did a consumer grape camp. So we're starting to bring back more consumer facing events to get people here into the region. That's been a bigger goal than I would say what we were doing 5 years ago, where it was a lot of outbound. Let's take our growers and our vintners and go outside of Sonoma County and really showcase what we're doing here to the rest of, frankly, the US specifically. And now we're really looking at ways like, how do we bring people into the region? So we're being a lot more mindful of that, even working with some of the sports teams and saying, how do we do fan trips to Sonoma County? Or if your team's going to play in the region, how do we add additional activations in Sonoma County around that? So we're being a lot more, I would say, innovative in how we're thinking about bringing people into the region.
How is harvest going?
Yeah, so we're in October. We're winding down on Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, Sauv Blanc, sort of the first. I would say we have three and a half more weeks left of harvest. I'd say we're probably towards the end of October. We'll see it really winding down with probably a couple sites and a couple of varieties left. But we're really starting to see a push into Cabernet Sauvignon and Zinfandel, Merlot, what I would call like the later ripening wine grapes in the county. So so far so good. I mean, the fruit looks beautiful. We had a little hiccup with the rain that happened. So there was a bit of a scramble to get some grapes off, or to now wait and make sure sort of the fruit zone got opened up and, everything kind of reset. But it's been obviously the beautiful weather, mid-80s weather over the couple of days has been really helpful. So fast and furious.
You are married to a wine grape grower.
I am.
Do you
Yes.
see him very much?
No, harvest is always a challenge. We've seen most of our harvest now happen during the night. So that's just been a big shift over the last decade for sure here. It's better for the employees who get to work in, cooler temperatures. It's better for the grapes because they stay nice and cold as they arrive at the wineries. So typically he gets up at 11 p.m. to be at harvest at midnight, and then he's napping when I get home, and we spend sort of a glorious hour and a half to 2 hours together over some food, a glass of wine, and then he's back to bed, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do with my evening. So yeah, it's a bit of a whirlwind. And then we always go away for like a long weekend right after he finishes to sort of recoup.
That's good. Nice.
Yeah.
Are you hearing from the wine growers about any problems trying to sell grapes or anything like that?
Yeah, there definitely is some fruit unsold in Sonoma County, I think everywhere around the state. So very similar to other stories we've been hearing. I mean, we've been estimating 25 to 30% of the crop at the beginning of harvest didn't have a home. So we're not sure, we know there are deals that get made. Sometimes contracts get canceled and then folks come back and or find out, oh, maybe there wasn't as much Chardonnay at that one vineyard and I need more. And then those deals happen. So I don't know quite where we're going to net out, but I know when we were sort of looking back in July, August, kind of really at the start of harvest, we were anticipating about 25% of the grapes, 30% of the grapes not being sold this year. So that's a bit of a heartbreak for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Are you seeing any struggles for the people who own the vineyards? Are they backing out? Are they taking vines out?
So we are seeing some vineyards come out. I think around the state, the number is like 100,000 acres. Here in Sonoma County, right now we have about 58,000 acres of wine grapes planted. I think, starting now over the next couple of years, we'll see probably anywhere from 3 to 5,000 acres of grapes get removed. The question mark will be you have, depending on renewal of your replant permit, you have almost up to 10 years. So 9 years, 364 and a half days to replant that vineyard. So I think, the growers that were considering replanting, if there was any disease pressure in their vineyard, maybe thinking about switching grape varieties, are really using this time to do that, to kind of remove some of that supply from the marketplace and reset. I speak with some of my colleagues, and Jeff Bitter from Allied Grape Growers. We were talking a couple weeks ago, and he thinks, by 2027, from a supply side around California, enough vineyards will have come out that you'll see wineries kind of back buying grapes. It just depends what grape varieties, where, what's the pricing. Unfortunately, our farmers don't have a lot that they can control. So, they deal with Mother Nature. They often say they're price takers. They have really only one thing is to manage their cost. And that's really hard sometimes when it's small businesses and cost of labor and supplies. We're really trying to do everything we can to support the marketplace and drive demand so that long term our grape growers have a place for their grapes.
The Sonoma County Wine Growers have also established a leadership academy for workers, for people in the vineyards. Can you tell me just briefly about that?
Yes, through our foundation. I love this program. So thanks for asking about it. Back in 2022, we established a leadership academy. It's a 6-month program that meets about 8 to 10 times during that 6 months. Our different grape growers, vineyard management companies, ranchers can nominate one of their employees to participate. Our class is typically 20 to 25 employees, men and women. And through that leadership academy, we try to really teach anything and everything but farming. So we would never, say that we could teach them the farming skills they need. The farmers do that. But we cover topics like financial literacy, communications, conflict resolution, disaster preparedness. Really, we introduce them to several of our local elected officials. They meet some of our healthcare providers. And really, it's almost like a Sonoma County boot camp meets really life skills and life enhancements to really make them better leaders, more confident when they go back to their organizations. It's been really amazing. We've heard since we started the Leadership Academy, we just graduate and they go through a formal graduation in front of their families, which is amazing. We've graduated our 4th class and we've had about a third of the employees get promoted after going through the leadership program. 50% say they take on more responsibility. So they have sort of job enrichment or enhancement. And all of our vineyard owners, managers, farmers say that their employees just come back like way more confident, better communicators, better leaders, really taking more initiative. So it's just an awesome program. It's one of my favorite things we do. And it's just so fun to watch these men and women really evolve and also create their own peer groups from around the county, which we see a lot of that happens with family farmers that have known each other for generations. So to be able to create that sort of peer network amongst our employees is quite special.
That's wonderful. What about pressures around immigration for our farm workers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't escape the conversation about immigration these days. Fortunately, We know most of our vineyard employees have such longevity with their employers. We've not heard of any specific issues or sort of this fear of showing up that I know has happened in other places around the state. And we also do have about a third of our workforce as part of the federal guest work visa program, the H-2A program. So obviously that sort of adds some stability to the workforce since they're here through sort of the federal program. So yeah, but it's always, we typically, with our Leadership Academy, we've done a trip the last couple of years to Washington, D.C., supported by Alaska Airlines Partnership. And we decided to pause on that this year and just sort of take some time to hopefully let everything kind of fall into place and reset a little bit.
That's Karissa Kruse, President and CEO of Sonoma County Wine Growers. You can learn more at sonomawinegrape.org. I'm your host and producer of this program, Michelle Marques. Podcasts are available at krcb.org/the707. Email topic and guest suggestions to the707@krcb.org. This show is a service of NorCal Public Media. Our president and CEO is Darren Lachelle.